the internet, I have come once again to bring you enlightenment about concerning the week's news and so forth. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, it is I, the Nomad, who exists in the wasteland of the internet. Good morning to you, Mr. Barkley. We're going to start off with some more serious news today. And then we've got interspersed with just stories. All right. Just an eclectic, quite the eclectic view of the news this time. I hope that you all enjoy it. But let's get started, shall we? Ukrainian war. Zelensky embezzled $400 million allocated by the U.S. for purchasing fuel. President of the Ukraine, Volodymyr Zelensky, has embezzled hundreds of millions of dollars that the U.S. allocated for the purchase of fuel, according to Pulitzer Prize-winning journalist Seymour Hersh. In his blog, Hersh writes the Ukrainian government, headed by Volodymyr Zelensky, has been using American taxpayers' funds to pay dearly for the taxpayer funds to pay dearly for the vitally needed diesel fuel that is keeping the Ukrainian army on the move in its war with Russia. It's unknown how much of Zelensky's government is paying per gallon for fuel, but the Pentagon was paying as much as $400 a gallon to transport gasoline from a port in Pakistan via truck or parachute into Afghanistan during the decades-long American war there. The issue of corruption was directly raised with Zelensky in a meeting last January in Kiev with CIA Director William Burns, who basically was putting out the point of, we're not getting enough in return. Let me tell you, folks, yes, I am shocked to find that Zelensky and his gang of goons, all right, is doing something that, well, look, it would make Putin proud. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to say something about this again and again and again till the cows come home. The fact is, Zelensky is as bad as Putin is. You can say what you want. Okay? You can complain, blame Putin for all these things and how horrible he is and the government. And quite frankly, it's true. Okay? It's all true. But Zelensky's just as bad. You know the difference between Putin and Zelensky? Zelensky gives kickbacks. That's the difference. No, man. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? Biden. The DNC. Members of the DNC are taking the taxpayer money, sending it to Zelensky for the war effort, and pocketing on kickbacks millions and billions of dollars of your money is going right into the pocket of the Biden crime family and his DNC cohorts. And they all know it. It's been that way for decades. Trickbacks? It's a kickback scheme. It's been a kickback scheme. It's money laundering at its finest. It's money laundering at its finest, folks. It really is. I might be abusing the microphone a little bit too much here. Let's take that back down a little bit. Make sure that your ears aren't blown out. Zelensky's not a good guy in this. This is one of the reasons, though. The main reason I don't want money going to the Ukraine to help them fight the war, okay? The number one reason is the kickback. Because it's funding the damaging DNC. It's funding the destruction of America. by giving it to criminals in the DNC. And criminals in the press, by the way. If you think the press isn't sitting up there getting something out of this, you're sorely mistaken. The press is in on this. This is why they're all trying to protect Biden. Well, they're all trying to claim, oh, no, there's nothing to see here. There's nothing to see here. But before anybody gets all warm and fuzzy about, well, it's just money going to the Ukrainians, we waste money left and right, and we do. We waste money left and right in this country. It doesn't really make much of a difference. Well, yeah. How many people saw this story? Ukraine gets British long-range missiles ahead of the counteroffensive. Britain has donated Storm Shadow cruise missiles to the Ukrainian Air Force in a move widely seen as a game-changer in Kiev's ability to mount long-range strikes against invading Russian forces. The decision to hand over a quantity of the MBDA-built cruise missiles was announced by the British Defense Secretary Ben Wallace on May 11th. Storm Shadow is a long-range, conventional precision strike capability, he said. It complements the long-range systems already gifted, including the HIMARS and the Harpoon missiles, as well as Ukraine's own Neptune cruise missiles and longer-range munitions already into effect. Bullshit! Okay? This cruise missile system can hit Moscow. This is not a joke anymore, folks. You don't need this missile system in this war. This missile system and harpoons and so forth, harpoons are not that long range. Not the ones that the British are talking about here. Gotta mock this shit. And I'll tell you something else. The Ukrainians, you can give the missiles to the Ukrainians, they wouldn't know what to do with them. They're not trained on them. Okay? You're not going to be able to spin them up. Oh, this is a conventional strike weapon. Storm Shadow missiles can carry nuclear payloads, folks. Not a huge one, but it can carry a nuclear payload. Now, do I think that they're giving nukes to the Ukrainians? No. But I think it should be pointed out that the Ukrainians, the Ukraine had a number of the ballistic missile sites from the old Soviet Union days. I want to point that out, folks. This is not a MIRV weapon, for those people who know what MIRVs are. The cruise missiles are designed to evade radar. They can be pre-programmed with, if you use U.S. intelligence, to hit Moscow from Kiev. And if you don't think the Ukrainians won't try to do that, you're sadly mistaken. And if a missile hits Moscow, Britain becomes a player in this game. This is far away beyond what anybody else had. And they're saying, oh, this thing only fires 155 miles. Bullshit! This missile can go much farther than that. I don't know what the hell the British were thinking. This missile system was initially designed off of the prototypes from the American sub-launched systems that were designed to travel thousands of miles. And you saw in the picture, I'm going to put the picture back up here. Take a look how long this thing is. Take a look at how long that missile is. That's just showing you the size of that missile. And you got to think, the guy's in front of it by a good ways. That tells you the size of this thing. This is not designed for just a few miles. Good morning, Susan. This is a World War III designed weapon. If this weapon hits Moscow, and I suspect it's going to, then you can expect the British Isles to get hit, especially British shipping to get hit with some of the hypersonic missiles that the Russians have developed. Now, the thing about the hypersonic missiles that the Russians have developed, accuracy isn't the byword. Let's put it that way. Just want to point this out. Right? Accuracy isn't the byword. From the BBC. Gaza, 6th militant commander killed in Israeli airstrike. Israel has killed a 6th senior leader of the Palestinian Islamic Jihad in an airstrike in the Gaza Strip as fighting between them has escalated. Yes, there are rocket barrages coming from the Gaza Strip. Surprise, surprise, surprise. Right? It is said that al-Hassani had directed the militant group's operations since his predecessor was killed on Tuesday. Friday's strike, which medics said also killed another person, followed a barrage of rockets fired from Gaza, some of which reached near Jerusalem. The chances of an imminent ceasefire appeared too slim after the exchange. However, a Pakistani official familiar with the talks taking place in Egypt told the BBC that the Egyptian officials presented this evening a new proposal for a ceasefire, which was being studied now. There's not going to be a ceasefire. You want to know how to fix this, folks? You really want to know how the only way you're going to fix this? And I know this is going to sound horrible, and it is, because this is where we're at. The only way you're going to fix this is if you sit up there and issue an ultimatum to the Palestinians and say, look, you either stop the missiles or you cease to exist. And when they don't, because they won't, you bring in B-52s and you start gridding the 1.5 miles, the 2 miles by 1 mile little grid that they've created for themselves, and you exterminate, you wipe it grid by grid until there's nothing left. That sounds like genocide. It's not genocide. It's the only way to stop the problem. It's the only way to convince them, hey, you want to continue just killing people indiscriminately? You're going to have to stop doing that. There's no other way. They're going to keep doing it. Because the population thinks it's okay. Well, when the population starts to realize, holy crap, we're all going to die because of these morons, they change their minds. It's the only thing that works with the 12th century mentality. It's why we had to do something we'll be talking about with a story later on. You're dealing with a mindset, all right, that is 12th century, folks. You just sit up there and put a layer of pamphlets out there saying this section is going to be bombed tomorrow with B-52s. We're going to take out this entire grid, and you wipe it out. And then while you're wiping that grid out, you have other planes dropping leaflets going, this one's next. And you just go like this until you guys stop firing rockets at us, until you figure out that you don't want to sit up there and listen to these militant assholes that use you as human shields. Hey, these guys who have promised you, you're all going to go to heaven. Well, we're going to send you there. It's the only choice that's being left for these people. You do not understand. They won't stop, folks, any other way. They won't. This is why I spend more time listening to music than news. Yeah, that's very true. I can understand that. Meanwhile, what's Israel doing? They're trying to commit suicide. In Israel, army service is required for all, but that could change. You're going to love this story. Since Israel's founding in 1948, universal military conscription has been a central pillar of the national defense and the national identity. Young men and women have served side by side, not really, but have served side by side in what has been a major rite of passage for generations of Israelis. That may be about to change. Ultra-Orthodox lawmakers in the Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's ruling coalition are threatening to topple the government if it doesn't legally exempt ultra-Orthodox Jewish men from military service so that they can instead devote their time to studying religious texts. Okay, so let's see how fast converts become religious when you start exempting them. Let's see just how fast they get the Jewish religion. It'll be amazing just how fast the Orthodox faith in Israel gets adherents left and right. We all know what's going to end up happening here. Everybody knows what will happen if you sit up there and do this. See, when I first saw this story, I just saw the headline. I was like, okay, this should be interesting to read. And so I started reading it. And I was because I figured, they were just going to start excusing women, right? That's was like, okay, which I can understand. I've seen the light. Where's that yarmulke? Right here. Okay. You want to see me at the Wailing Wall? I got to throw some dreadlocks, folks. I got to throw some dreadlocks. Look, I understand nobody wants to go to war, right? But for the Orthodox Jews to be demanding this, they need to understand the situation. You don't even have a country, right? If you don't want to be Israelis, don't. You don't have to be an Israeli to be a Jew. Just trying to point that out. What about ultra-Orthodox women having all the children? I'm not even going to go there. I'm not even going to go there. Meanwhile, in Australia, folks, can't make up stories like this. From CBS News, missing woman survives on lollipops and wine for 5 days, stranded in the Australian bushland. A woman who went missing for 5 days in the Australian bushland has been found after surviving for 5 days on lollipops and a bottle of wine. The dramatic rescue was caught on film by police helicopters. Authorities in Victoria said the 48-year-old woman, identified only by her first name Lillian, all right, because she couldn't speak her last name because she was too drunk, all right, was finally located in dense bushland after she took the wrong turn and ended up on a dead-end road and her car got stuck in mud. A police helicopter was scouring the hilly terrain Thursday when they spotted Lillian's car at the end of a dirt road in Mitamita, nearly 40 miles away from the nearest town. Video from the chopper shows a police van being directed to her location, where she was found safe. Lillian was taken to a hospital to be treated for dehydration. You sure it wasn't for being drunk? Police say that Lillian's loved ones called the police last week when she didn't make her daily call to check in with them. Emergency services made extensive searches of the region over the past week, but were unable to find any signs of her until the helicopter was deployed. Due to health issues, she was unable to try and walk for help, so stayed with her car. Now, okay, let's be perfectly frank here. She did the right thing. Okay? Why did she go back? She ran out of lollies. All right. Nothing against us. Nothing against us. But this woman did the right thing. Look, if you get lost and stranded somewhere, don't leave your freaking car. Okay? You have to be absolutely desperate to get out of your car. And there's a lot of reasons for it, not the least of which is protection from the elements. Okay? And protection from the rest of the critters. Smurf song here. Darren. The woman was planning a short day trip, so only had taken a couple of snacks and some lollipops. The only liquid Lillian, who doesn't drink, had with her was a bottle of wine she had brought as a gift for her mother. Just pointing these things out, folks. Okay. Remember when I said I'll be talking about another story later? Here's this other story. A guidepost to a nuke-free world, Hiroshima Museum awaits the G7 leaders. Hiroshima and its people have been hoping to build momentum toward a world without nuclear weapons through a Group of 7 summit in May, with its museum set to play a key role in conveying the reality of the 1945 atomic bombing of the western Japanese city. With Barack Obama famously becoming the first sitting president to visit in 2016, the Hiroshima Peace Memorial Museum is expected to welcome the leaders of the G7 industrialized nations on the first day of the gathering. Well, grand! We're going to do it for a nuke-free world. Really? Who's part of the G7 right now? Who's part of the G7? Let's talk about this for a moment. The G7 includes Canada, the United States, France, Germany, Italy, Japan, and the UK. So you've got Canada, Germany, Italy, and Japan without nukes. But China isn't there. Russia's not there. So this G7 bullshit about, oh, we gotta stop nuclear weapons. Well, go talk to the countries that are threatening the world with them. Where's North Korea? When I see you take a deliberate step to try and denuclearize North Korea, you let me know. And I'm tired of these freaking people whining and crying. No, you weren't. This was a tragedy, yes, but it was a man-made tragedy by you, Japan, by your ancestors. And it took 2 nuclear weapons to stop the Japanese from continuing the war. One wasn't good enough. Now I want you to think on that, folks. And even then, there were the government officials that were going out of their way to try and stop the emperor from issuing a surrender decree. And it was serious. It was a serious effort. It wasn't like one of these, oh, you heard about it in the paper. Oh, it's January 6th. It wasn't a January 6th insurrection. You had this guy being hunted. They had dressed him up in women's clothes so they could try and smuggle him out. to prevent the other army officers from seizing him so he couldn't give the surrender speech. The vast majority of the population was not going to surrender, folks. If you don't understand what you're dealing with when I say about a 12th century mentality, and the Palestinians are exactly the same way, with one exception. They're not going to jump off a cliff like the Japanese did. That's the only difference. Why? Because they can see who the Israelis are because they're right next to them all the time. That's the only difference. That mentality, however, is the same. They have no compunction about walking up to an Israeli child, picking that child up by the leg and bashing their heads in against the ground. That's the kind of people that are running, all right, the Palestine, and that they know, the Palestinians know that's who they are and want them to do that. Because they don't think it affects them. They think they can finally get rid of the Israelis this way. And yes, they will frickin' kill them all if they get the chance. These are not just, we're just looking for peace. These are not peace-loving individuals. These are murdering savages with a murdering savage mentality from the 12th century. Some of his generals were begging him to surrender. The vast majority of them were not. Now, after he issued the surrender order, a lot of those generals that you're talking about, TM, committed suicide. I want you to think on that. Let's go to the United States for the stories out here. Jury finds Trump sexually abused and defamed Jean Carroll and orders him to pay $5 million. But the jury found Trump was not liable for rape. Do I need to go on, folks? A Manhattan jury on Tuesday rejected Jean Carroll's rape allegation against former President Donald Trump, but found him liable for sexual abuse in the 1996 attack. What evidence do you have of a sexual attack, all right, when she said she was raped? If you say she wasn't raped, that there's no evidence of rape, then how do you say there's evidence of a sexual attack? Who were these jurors? I would love to interview these jurors, and I would like for them to explain to me why they sit up there and said, it was a sexual assault, but it wasn't rape. And what evidence they used for that. I would love to hear it. And see, all this was predicated on defamation. Now, how can you say that it was that Trump was defaming her when you said that he didn't rape her? She said she raped him, and he said she was a liar. Well, if you say that he didn't rape her, then him calling her a liar is understandable, right? This is justice? This is the kind of justice that you can expect from the American legal system, where people can't even think logically? Going, well, she claimed it was raped. Well, she wasn't really raped, she wasn't raped. Well, she wasn't raped, and Trump was saying that she was lying. How then did you conclude that he defamed her? Well, but he sexually assaulted her. Well, yeah. What evidence is there that he sexually assaulted her? Her commentary? Really? Why is no one going after these jurors and sit up there and interviewing these jurors? I would really like to hear the answer to this. I really would. Okay, folks. Minnesota man invents beer-powered motorcycle. Now, when I first read this story, once again, the headline caught me. I was like, oh, this has got to be investigated. A beer-powered motorcycle. What do you do, shake up the beer? No! Minnesota investor who has gained a following for his unusual vehicles unveiled his latest creation, a beer-powered motorcycle. Kai Mikkelsen, whose previous inventions include a rocket-powered toilet and a jet-powered coffee pot, said the beer-powered motorcycle he created in his Bloomington garage has a 14-gallon keg with a heating coil instead of a gas-powered engine. The coil heats up the beer to about 300 degrees, which is then becomes superheated steam in the nozzles that propel the bike forward. The price of the gas is getting up there, and I don't drink, and I'm not a drinker, so I can't think of anything better than to use it for fuel, said Mikkelsen. Mikkelsen estimated the bike could reach speeds up to 150 miles an hour. He said he hopes to take the bike out on a drag strip sometime soon to test its capabilities. Mikkelsen's son, Buddy, said that the motorcycle could be adapted to run on almost any beverage. It could be any kind of liquid. It could be Red Bull. It could be Caribou coffee. It could be anything. But beer? Why not? Buddy Mikkelsen said. Okay. The sad part is you still need energy to power this thing, right? And even if you can get it up to 150 miles an hour, I would love for somebody to invent something like this that's actually steam powered and actually can get you from point A to point B with a minimal amount of energy. Okay. It's just still stupid, like a J-Lo too. It is stupid. I don't want a rocket thing like that. What I would like to see is I would like to people to go back to steam power. Because we have electricity, and the advantage of steam power can be mitigated in a couple areas. Right. First of all, one of the problems with steam power, the biggest problem with steam power. Does anybody really know what the biggest power of steam power is? This is the power with our power. This is the problem with most of our power plants, folks. For those who don't know. And what is that? It's the production of steam. It takes time to heat up liquid to the point where it boils for steam. So getting the boilers up and running takes time in the ships in the old ship days. You couldn't just say, okay, leave port tomorrow. Okay? Because they had to get the boilers up and running. So yes, you're right. You could sit up there and start off with super compression tank and sit up there and compress it to start the process. I invented a beer power time machine. You black out and you wake up in the future. There are other ways you could sit up there and get this to work, but we probably could bring steam engines back, okay, which are very efficient and even more efficient than what you're dealing with from engines, right? But unfortunately, we're nowhere near where we could be with technology, right? Because people are lazy, and this is my problem with. I'm going to be real blunt. This is the problem with Extinction Rebellion. It's the problem with Extinction Rebellion. And if you don't understand what I'm talking about, let me explain. You have all these people protesting. Every one of those people on March, you have hundreds of them. Well, why aren't you putting your hundreds of minds together to come up with a solution? Instead of putting your minds together to march, why aren't you trying to build the better mousetrap? I'm just pointing this out. Now, Stirling engines are interesting, TM, but the problem with a Stirling engine is heat transference. Okay, eventually, both ends of the piston have the same temperature. At which point you've got to cool the entire system down. And so that in and of itself can become somewhat inefficient because you're carrying weight that you don't need during the cooling process. Sure, you could transfer it to another piston, but then that first piston's got to be cooling down. That's extra weight that you're not doing anything with. Just pointing this out. Stirling engines are interesting. They're cool looking. I'll give you that. But heat transference becomes the issue. Yeah, about 30%. Okay. Hungry elephant flings woman into air after being taunted by the banana. Okay. Let's take a look at this, shall we? Now, here's the elephant. Here's the woman. She's got several bananas here. Well, let's expand this so that everybody can see it a little bit easier, so we can see what's going on.
Boy. Oh, what's up, buddy?
This is a wild animal. Teasing a wild animal gets you yeeted. I'm sorry, this woman deserved it. You tease the animal and you get tossed. You tease the animal by taking away the banana. He reaches for the banana. You keep taking it away from him, and you get yeeted. Okay? This is not a joke. Playing banana tag with the elephant is a good way to get yourself trampled. All right? Just put it out there. Okay? It's a great way to get trampled when you're playing tag with the elephant. Okay? Don't play tag with elephants, folks. Yes, we have. I don't understand why people cannot understand. Wild animals are wild animals, right? And an elephant, even if you think he's tame, tease it a few times. See how tame he is. All right? People don't know this. All right? In order to train an elephant, they use sharp sticks and they poke the holy crap out of these poor animals. Right? To get the elephants to basically do what they want. Now, is it really painful to the elephant with the thick skin that they have? That's arguable to a point, right? But I will mention this. There are statistics that show that elephant trainers rarely make it to old age. Okay? Just putting it out there. Elephant trainers are oftentimes the first ones when the elephant says, I have had enough of you. All right, they get yeeted and they get hunted down. Elephants are cool and all. Trading with a banana and taking away the banana, though, is going to get you yeeted. Off to jolly old England. And no, I'm not talking about the coronation. At least not at the moment. Fury, as wearing hoodies is banned to tackle Town's antisocial behavior. Residents in Romford, all right, are up in arms after their local business improvement district, BID, banned hoodies to tackle antisocial behavior. The scheme was launched on April 18th after town leaders said they saw a rise in antisocial behavior as part of a trial scheme which is backed by the councillors and the Metropolitan Police, the Met Police. Anyone visiting the town of East London will not be allowed to wear ski masks. Okay, I have no problem with that. Hoodies, might have a problem with that. Or helmets that cover their face. So motorcycle helmets are banned. All right, I'm just putting it out there. The locals in the UK's town have termed the move as the most stupid thing. To explain the new rules, a number of posters have been displayed over the town. Those who break the rule will be asked to leave, and police will be called if there is any aggression. And who do they get to speak on this? Mohammed Oromoui. Amraoui? I'm sorry, trying to butcher your name, sir. I can't pronounce that. All right, a 24-year-old prison officer told the Observer, "It's the most stupid thing I've ever heard in my life." It's a debatable topic because stereotypically someone wearing a ski mask wants to make trouble. But there's a lot of diversity around here, and people wear it for fashion. No one's wearing a ski mask for fashion, pal. Hoodies, I don't disagree with you. All right? There's a lot of people who wear them for fashion. People are not wearing ski masks for fashion. Okay? They're not. That's not a fashion statement. And unless you're on the slopes in Colorado or on the Alps, because you guys are closer to the Alps, right? In below zero weather, you shouldn't be wearing ski masks either. Are burkas a form of hoodie? John Yates, the executive director of the Youth Endowment Fund, said he's not sure banning hoodies will work. Hoodies tend to be worn by young people, so it's labeling a whole group as negative. It's quite draconian, all right, to stop people from wearing what they want. No, okay, now this is where I kind of disagree with him. Don't get me wrong, I'm not for this. I'm not for this law. But I am going to point out something. If you're one of these people walking around doing things for fashion sense, and you've got your pants around your friggin' ankles, right? Because you're trying to look like you're in the hood in a business district. In a business district, really? People are just tired of this. It is an antisocial behavior. Okay, the person may not be doing anything, but the person doing that is trying to make an antisocial statement. Period. Now, you can say that he has a right to make these statements. In America, I would agree with you. Not in Britain. Just pointing it out, not in Britain. See, in America, we got this going on. Let's get ready to rumble. What am I talking about? Well, let's see it. We need to start a petition, folks. We need her. Jensen didn't die, did he? I ain't seen him here for a while. No, Jensen is being minded by B. Okay, so he could not join today. Okay, he is not dead. Trust me, I talked to him yesterday. He's not dead. He is just being minded. Okay. Now, however that takes place, I'm not there. Okay. But let's get ready to rumble, folks. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, we need to get the petition. We need to see this. We need to see this. I want this. I want pay-per-view, all right, for this. Folks, I want this. I want this now. What am I talking about? Megyn Kelly channels Charlize Theron over drag queens. Why don't you come and F me up? Oh, please, can we have this now? Megyn Kelly hit out at her Hollywood alter ego, Charlize Theron, on Friday after the actress who portrays the former Fox News stars in the hit film Bombshell threatened to F up anybody if they oppose drag queens performing for children. All right. Kelly on Friday responded with a viral clip of Theron defending drag shows during a telethon. I will F anybody up who is like trying to F with anything with drag queens, Theron said during Sunday's Drag Isn't Dangerous telethon, which raised $500,000. Okay, so why doesn't Charlize Theron come and F me up? Because I'm 100% against her on this. Let's start taking bets, folks. Keith Darrell. We need this pay-per-view, folks. This is. And I'll be honest with you, I don't know who I'd sit up there and take in the fight. But I guarantee there's some hair pulling coming. Get the Octagon. Joe Rogan, if you ever hear this podcast, set this up. Contact these people and set this up. Let's get them in the Octagon. This will be freaking phenomenal. Just put it out there, folks. And what do you have in America today? You have the Starbucks. Yes, Starbucks manager sacked for ranting at woman she accused of transphobia is an outspoken trans activist, surprise, surprise, whose neighbors are terrified of offending by mistakenly saying the wrong thing. The Starbucks manager filmed screaming at a customer for being transphobic after she used the word lady to describe the non-binary member of the staff is an outspoken campaigner for trans rights, we can reveal. Until today, the identity of the coffee shop worker filmed berating a woman and throwing her out of a branch of the chain of Southampton in footage that went viral has remained secret, but Mail Online can reveal that she's Luna Spain, 28. The dramatic footage led to widespread speculation over the identity of the person caught on camera screaming at Vanessa Thomas, 55, after she inadvertently referred to one of her colleagues as a lady. Luna had been working in the Starbucks, which is partially owned by a licensor for the past 6 months, combining with the job with studying for a degree in environmental science at the Open University. She was raised in Gosport, Hampshire, where she attended a local secondary school, but has been living in Southampton for the past 5 years. I don't care. This woman, this thing, is totally in the wrong. And as far as getting fired, I hope that they were. You don't do this to customers. Okay? Now, I know a lot of people in retail, no, it's not that the customers are always right. Hey, look, no, there's a point of saying the customer's always right. There's a reason people say this. Bud Light's finding that out. Okay? Bud Light right now is finding out that the customer is always right because you are totally dependent as a retailer on that customer. Now, maybe not that specific one, but if your business becomes known to be anti-customer friendly, you got a long road to hoe, folks. You can have the best product in the world and people will not come to buy it if your customer service sucks. That's reality. I'm not joking. Good God, would you want to service more? Anheuser-Busch. I'm going to say something right now. The Dylan Mulvaney thing, Anheuser-Busch could have got over that if they would have done one thing. And the problem was the marketing manager went out of her way to insult the people currently drinking the beer. That's the part that crushed them. That's what's driven this to such a degree. It wasn't just Dylan Mulvaney. It was the advertising manager who came up with the idea of giving that frickin' twit her own little beer can, right, to create a little area there. And then go on and talk about we have to change from our fratty boy image. You went out of there, you used language intended to insult the people who were currently drinking your beer. And now you're seeing the result. Nothing Mulvaney has done is inclusive. And I want you to think on that. And people understood what it is and what this whole trans crap is about. It's about going after children. It's about hedonistic, perverted behavior into flat out degeneracy. I'm amazed this makes national news. Cow that escaped senior prank gets new name. A cow that ran loose through a Chicago suburb after escaping during a senior prank was given the name Blossom. Hood Animal Humane Society. Humane Society isn't good enough. Now we have to have Hood Animal Humane Society. She said Bud Light was dying, so she euthanized it. Good morning, Chris. All right. The cow that ran loose through a Chicago suburb after escaping during a senior prank was given the new name, Blossom. The Hooved Animal Humane Society in Woodstock said Blossom's name was chosen from hundreds of submissions from members of the public. Officials wrote in a Facebook post that the name is so fitting since she is truly blossoming before our eyes every day. Blossom escaped and ran loose through Niles in the early hours on Thursday. The cow was one of several animals being brought to the Northridge Preparatory School as part of a senior prank. The Humane Society said officials are now working to find Blossom a new permanent home. Just to say, what do you mean permanent? You mean on the way to the butcher shop? I got a good name for Blossom. Ribeye. T-bone? Rump roast? Just put it out there. My grill. Just asking, folks. Just asking. Here's another elephant story for you, folks. Elephants, buffaloes, and lions battle it out. No, this is the lion is hosed. This is the lion is done, Burger. 24-year-old trails guide Mohammed Kathrada and his guests were interrupted at breakfast by three of Africa's Big Five. He shared this nail-biting sighting on his latest sighting with latestsightings.com. After conducting a guide walk through many drainage lines that feeds the Sand River, we headed towards the picnic site, where on the eastern boundary of the park, excited for a breakfast that lies ahead, overlooking the magnificent Mwandozi picnic site. Like many others around the Kruger National Park, offers a quintessential environment. If visitors can enjoy bathroom breaks, cook up breakfast, or prepare afternoon lunches, the sites are unfenced and provide visitors with a true bush experience. The experience to be road patties. All right. We alighted from the vehicle. I jokingly asked a friendly caretaker at the picnic site, "Where are the lions?" To my surprise, he says, "Just down there." I quickly grabbed my camera and led the guests to a vantage point overlooking the dam and lions, elephants, and buffaloes. All right. So the lions are looking for a meal. The buffaloes are like, "We don't want to be a meal." And an elephant says, "You're a road patty, all of you." That's really what this is. The lion was just looking for a meal, wasn't looking for the elephant, but the elephant came along. And you have real nature. Now, personally, as long as you're a good distance away from these things, and I mean a good distance, I don't want to be within a few hundred yards of these things. I want to be, like half a mile away. Okay? I don't want to be 150 yards from a lion without a cage. That isn't in a cage. Okay? Just pointing it out there. These things are powerful. They're big, and water buffalo, they ain't no joke either. Okay? And if the African elephant decides to go, okay, well, this looks like fun. Now think about this. The elephant sees the lions predating. How do you want to say that? Being predators that they are, predating, right? Predating the poor buffalo. Well, I shouldn't say the poor buffalo, but a water buffalo. General part of nature. The lion sees this. Okay? Or not the lion. The elephant sees this. Now, the elephant can ignore it. It's what they usually do. That's your problem. I'm an elephant. You got a problem with the lion, that's your problem. But not this one. This one is like, okay, let's introduce ourselves here. I'm going to make a point. My land. Came up, asked for a banana, yeeted a customer. Leave them alone, folks. Leave them alone. Prosecutors. Former Bills punter Matt Araiza wasn't present during the alleged gang rape. Okay, now this was a huge story if you're an NFL follower here in the United States. This guy had just been drafted by the Buffalo Bills, and then everyone said that he was involved in a gang rape of a young underage woman. Just days after earning a starting job as a Buffalo Bills punter, rookie Matt Araiza was the subject of a civil lawsuit alleging that he and two San Diego State football team teammates participated in a gang rape of an intoxicated 17-year-old girl. While little is known publicly, the San Diego police had spent nearly 10 months on the case before forwarding it to the district attorney without a recommendation for prosecution. The Bills said that they also knew about the incident, investigated it, and decided to employ Araiza anyway. The graphic allegations in the civil lawsuit, however, created a public frenzy. It included a claim that during an October 15, 2021 party at the home near SDSU's campus, San Diego State University's campus, Araiza led the girl into a bedroom where at least 3 other men waited. Once inside, he threw her onto the bed face first. The lawsuit read, the girl went in and out of consciousness while suffering through a horrific gang rape that lasted an hour and a half, the lawsuit read, before she stumbled out of the room, bloody and crying, in part because of the multiple piercings ripped through the skin during the attack. Within days, the Bills cut Ariza, who, due to his record-breaking NCAA career and 82-yard punt in a preseason game, had earned the nickname Punt God. We think it's the best move for everyone, all right, said the Bills, and they fired him. Ariza remains out of football despite prosecutors announcing on December 7, 2022, that after conducting their own 124-day investigation, they would be pressing charges in the case. However, few details, let alone their reasoning or additional exculpatory evidence, were included in the initial statement. So these people basically let this guy hang. Okay? They let this guy out here, even though the evidence proved that not only, didn't he rape this woman, but he wasn't even there during this alleged gang rape that supposedly took place, and these guys' careers were trashed over it. And this 17-year-old victim, nothing's been done to her. They don't even put her name here. They don't even tell you who this woman was. She's allowed to ruin this guy's life with a false freaking claim. Now, if you read the rest of the story, and I'm not going to read it, it's pretty graphic. She was going around basically being the typical party girl. And what I mean by that is she was hooking up, and yes, I mean that in the literal term, the term that they're talking about. She was hooking up with all these people, all right, and then bragging about it to her friends. I slept with this guy. I slept with that guy, right? She was bragging about it. They have pictures of cell phones about this whole incident, apparently, right? And this woman wasn't being raped. And no, there were no piercings that were pulled. She was not bloody and bleeding, all right, when she went home. All of this stuff was absolutely made up. This woman is despicable. Absolutely despicable. This woman is just absolutely despicable. Time for Mickey. A story about Mickey. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, Mickey Mouse. Ron DeSantis signed this bill allowing Florida to shut down Disney World's monorail from the LGBTQ nation. You guys thought I just read regular stuff. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis has signed SB 1250, a general transportation bill that subjects Disney World's iconic monorail to inspections and possible shutdowns. The newly signed law is just the latest move that the DeSantis administration has made against Disney. Well, gee, all other public transportation is inspectable. Your elevators are all inspectable, but not the monorail? And you guys think in the LGBTQ nation that somehow this is going to convince people to be on your side because you're bitching that Ron DeSantis has told Disney, we can inspect your monorail. Right? No, I don't give a shit about Disney one way or the other as a corporation. Okay? Why? One name, and it's not the name you're thinking of. Michael Eisner is the name. Michael Eisner is the one who changed Disney from being focused on just family-friendly entertainment to the cesspool, all right, that it's become. He started it down that road. Michael Eisner. People forget about Michael Eisner because it was decades ago. Everyone focuses on Bob Iger now. Okay? And you're right, Susan. It does ruin it for legitimate victims. This is the problem for the previous story. But back to Disney. Disney decided to get overtly political and delve into politics that have nothing to do with its business. Its business isn't politics. And when it did that, and when it jumped into the fray, all right, by supporting the degeneracy, people had had enough. People are seeing Disney for what it has become now. When they have people on video saying, "Yeah, we're trying to gay up all the Disney films. We're trying to gay up all the things to get your kids. We're trying to get your kids." When they said that, Disney trashed itself. And everything that Disney had has been going down the tubes because their focus became political, not entertainment. They weren't trying to entertain. They're trying to lecture and they're trying to dominate in the political arena. And what's the result? People have said, "Okay, you want to play that game? We're going to hammer the holy shit out of you." And so Ron DeSantis took it upon himself. Disney is now suffering all sorts of losses, and it's going to get worse. This is just the tip of the iceberg because the people that they put in authority throughout the organization now, all right, are all political beings. They don't care about entertainment. They don't care about the company and making money for the company. They care about their politics. The people that they put in charge of division after division after division are activists. Put in there by Bob Iger to be activists. You cannot look at Kathleen Kennedy and tell me she is anything but a left-wing activist. And she's acting on that. Everybody knows what she's done to Star Wars. She drove it into the ground. And it's not just Star Wars fatigue. And Disney has to pay a price. And they're going to pay the price. And they've been paying the price. And they got another price to pay because they burned down One Dragon, their Fantasia, from a few weeks ago. All right. Let's talk about another person here because I want to talk about this in a different vein. Mayim Bialik has suddenly walked out on Jeopardy! As the Writers Guild of America strike presses onward, many productions such as Saturday Night Live and Apple TV's Severance have begun to shut down out of solidarity with the out-of-work writing staff, which makes up the lifeblood of television and movie industry, according to a write-up in Deadline. Mayim Bialik, right, or I guess she played Amy Farrah Fowler on The Big Bang Theory, has departed production while filming the final week of Jeopardy's season in solidarity with the writers on the picket line, making it the first game show to be impacted by the strike. While Bialik will not return for her final scheduled shoot days this season, production will continue on the long-running series with Ken Jennings taking her place. Due to the nature of Jeopardy's production schedule, the series, with its famous Daily Double, has been permitted to continue filming as usual despite being a WGA-repped show, since all the writing staff's usual work has been completed in advance of the shoot. Bialik and Ken Jennings have been alternating as Jeopardy hosts since the start of the season, with Jennings taking on the mantle from August to December, half of the season, and Bialik joining back from January to the upcoming summer break. Though Bialik is not currently a member of the Writers Guild of America, her status as a SAG member is well noted, and her career roots in scripted series. Okay. You want to walk out because you're doing this in solidarity with the Writers Guilds of America. Bye. Okay, nothing against you, girl, but you're gone. They are not. You guys do not understand what you have done. You do not understand the situation. Okay, people don't care about Hollywood anymore. There is plenty of other avenues of entertainment that people have available to them. The idea that, movies have been dying, folks. Everyone's seen it. If you don't believe me, if you don't think that the movies are dying, all you've got to do is check out the audiences, all right, when they're handing out Oscars. Nobody's watching the Oscars. Why is nobody watching the Oscars? Because nobody cares about them. This isn't 20 years ago. This isn't 40 years ago. And with all due respect to these people, writers, I'm going to be real blunt with you. You guys have had it so good for so long, and your gravy train has ended. They don't need you anymore. You want to know what the biggest thing that they're terrified of is exactly what Chris Cole just put in there. ChatGPT. The vast majority of your work can be taken care of by AI. True writers, true masters of their craft will rise to the top. Most of you ain't it. Most of you guys that are part of the writers are schlock. Everybody could do your job. Okay? This is what writers never understood. Writers are not the end-all. Now, there are good masters of the craft. Don't get me wrong. There are masters out there that people want to emulate. They can't. But those people are the exception, not the rule. And AI is now going to take their jobs. It's going to take it away from them. For the most part, you'll still have a writer or two, but the writer's room where lots of writers are all together, not anymore. And that goes for somebody else out there, folks. You know who that is? Reporters. Reporters are also news reporters as far as the ones that are writing. Don't need them. The average news story can be done with AI. You just put in a few pertinent facts, let AI write the rest of it. It's been shown that it can work. And then all you need is an editor. You need to know somebody who knows how to get the best out of the AI, yeah. But that does not take writing skill. It really doesn't. Now, will there be writers? Will there still be people making stories and books and things like that? Yeah, there will. But to be honest, the vast majority of it can be done by ChatGPT. This guy needs to be thrown in a wood chipper. This guy needs to be found guilty and thrown in a wood chipper. Cops. Woman raped by father she just met. A woman who traveled to Florida to meet her biological father after learning his identity and connecting with him via social media was sexually assaulted by the man who is now jailed on incest, battery charges according to the criminal complaints. Excuse me. On May 1st, cops arrested Ronald Antemore, 53, and charged him with assaulting the woman, responding to the Be on the Lookout notice. Clearwater cops took Antenor into custody after stopping his vehicle. Seen at the right, Antenor is being held on bond totaling $302,150. Should be $2 or $3 million. This guy should never be allowed out of parole. Right? In addition to felony sexual battery and incest counts, Antenor was hit with misdemeanor charges after drug paraphernalia was found in his automobile. Antenor has pled not guilty to the charges, and the judge has ordered him to have no contact with the victim. The police said the woman, who was given up for adoption as an infant, went to Florida to meet Antemore after learning of his identity and connecting with him on social media platforms, according to the court filings. As alleged by police, the attack occurred in August of 2021 at the Clarion Inn and Suites in Clearwater Beach. Court filings do not indicate why 21 months passed before Antenor was arrested. Antenor and the woman, cops say, spent the day together and consumed alcohol beverages before returning to the hotel room where the defendant had secured for the victim. While inside the room, the victim told police that she and Antenor did acid. When the drug took effect, the woman became physically unable to resist, and engaged in a series of sexual acts while she was laying on the bed. Wood chipper. Okay? Just putting it out there. This, for instance, is your daughter. That wasn't acid. This one's your daughter. You're meeting her for the first time. How could you do something like that? Sick. You're doing drugs with your daughter? That's already bad enough. It's already bad enough. This guy is not redeemable. Okay? He's not. Okay? Read the signs, folks. Read the signs. What am I referring to? Let me move this over a little bit so you can read this a little easier. Beware, horses may bite. That poor woman. I'm sorry, this is funny as hell. Get that freaking tail out of my face. But the story, herd of cows aid North Carolina police pursuit, leading them directly to a suspect. North Carolina police officers made an arrest with the help of a herd of cows who were happy to narc on a suspect hiding in their pasture. In the town of Boone, the town of Boone, excuse me, let me try this one more time. The town of Boone's police department said the suspect, later identified as Joshua Minton, 34, fled from the officers during a traffic stop on Tuesday and led officers and the Watauga County Sheriff's Office deputies on a pursuit. He abandoned his vehicle in the Deep Gap area and ran into an undeveloped area. Because the suspect's fast and reckless driving, officers were not immediately close enough to see where he ran to. Officers began searching the area for the man and received some unexpected assistance from cows willing to reveal the suspect's whereabouts. Apparently, cows do not want suspected criminals loitering in their pastures. And quickly assisted the officer by leading him directly to where the suspect was hiding, police said in a press release. The cows communicated with officers as best they could and finally had just had the officers follow them to the suspect's location. Minton was apprehended and charged with one felony count of felony fleeing and eluding arrest with a motor vehicle, driving with a license revoked, and disorderly conduct. He received a $20,000 secured bond and is scheduled to appear in court on June 28th in the Watauga County. The police department thanked the cows for their assistance. Can't trust cows. Can't trust cows, folks. You just can't trust them. Okay. Now, for all you dog lovers in the world, this is a sad story. Right? The final thing is just a movie of a panther and a dog. The panther and the dog story, and this is not good for the dog. Okay. All right, folks. This is the panther. This is the dog. Okay? You all see this? Off we go. And up goes the panther. Sleep in a bad neighborhood. Now the dog is like, you're gone. This poor dog had no chance. This is nature. Okay? The dog is not leashed. It's not staked for the panther. Okay? It's just in somebody's home. But the panther kills the dog, and then out he goes. That's how powerful these animals are. Right? Mother Nature is not necessarily kind. Okay? And unfortunately, the dog, they're not necessarily scared. We always hear about and see these stories where the dog takes on the wild puma, takes on the wild animal, and the animals are scared. Not necessarily. They're wary Wakanda forever. There goes the pasture. You let them in. Animals are animals, right? And wild animals that are predators, all right? Your dog is nothing but a meal to them. Now, if it's a pack of dogs, even if there's a pack of dogs about that size, it's very possible for the puma to sit up there and try. If they can sneak up on those animals and grab them, they're gone. And the only good thing is that dog died quickly. You could tell that dog was dead in a matter of seconds, right? But this is nature. I would be more frightened after filming my What Is Wondering Who My Dog With. If I saw that film, I would be like, oh my God, I've got to sit up there now, because that means that predator is roaming through the neighborhood looking for food. That you are on its watch list. At some point in time, they're going to have to, unfortunately, hunt that jaguar down or that panther down and kill it. Sad. It's sad, but that's what you're doing. All right, folks, that's all I got for today. Hope that you all enjoyed the show. Thanks for coming, everyone. I'll talk to you.